Alright, so it's a little bit early. I'm messing with my bit rate to see if I can make this quality go up at all. Well, I changed it. Let's see. You guys are about to see some annoying or hear some annoying stuff. Or hear some annoying stuff. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sounds off. Sounds off. Sounds off. Bop. Bop. Just a little bit. Bop. Just a little bit. Be alright. Be alright. So I got something new today. I gotta look and make sure it works on here. So I got something new today. I gotta look and make sure it works. So I got something new today. Mute. So I don't know if anybody wants to mess with the sound today, but I don't feel like doing it. So let's go here. Okay. Cool. Check this out. And there we go. So we'll get into this in a little bit. So I'm not really sure what to do first. I guess I could just jump straight into the iOS stuff because I'm not really sure how long it'll take to go through everything I've got. Does any of the two people on here have a preference? And there's a couple of links I'll also be sharing in the chat, or maybe it's just one. All right. well, we're just gonna do we're just gonna do iOS stuff first, and then with whatever time we have left, we'll do other things. So what I did today, and well, I guess it started back when the beta was first released. So I usually carry Androids and iPhones, or an iPhone, which is usually the latest model, and then 1 or 2 versions of Android. So my personal favorite line of phones up until the past couple of years was the stock Android. So the Nexus phones, the Pixel phones. The Pixel 3 and the Pixel 4 were not my jam. I feel like they lost a lot of ground to Samsung and iOS. Like iOS has always been locked, and this year we'll be going through it. They've actually opened up a bunch of that stuff. And Samsung, despite their superior hardware, has always had a software issue. And the switch to One UI made that a lot better. And then their hardware in recent years has just overcome all of their little quirky habits and whatnot. So they like to put tons of stuff on a phone, and I like a phone that is fast. So I think the fastest Android phone right now is the OnePlus 7 Pro. And I think there was a predecessor to that might be faster. Does OnePlus 7 Pro T sound familiar? 7 Pro T. Yeah. Hot dog. Got it. Anyways, that's a fast phone. It's even got the cool feature of a little pop-up front-facing camera. I'm not a big fan of movable parts in a phone, but that's neat, and there's nothing we can do about it. So today, like I said, I was going to explain what I was going to do. So I always carry these phones, and the intent for me is to know as much about them, because as the CEO of a mobility company, it's a responsibility of mine to keep up with the latest tech and all that kind of stuff. It's also an addiction that I have, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't have a strong desire, even if I didn't have this job, to have the latest tech. But this job provides me with what I consider to be an adequate excuse to spend absorbent amounts of money on mobile devices. Anyway, I also subscribe, since I've got 3 phones, I usually subscribe to the beta programs, and this year was no different. On the iPhone, I got the beta from the first release and used it all the way through the actual iOS 14 release, and then I've opted out now because I wanted to do the demonstrations and whatnot, because there's already a 14.2 beta that's out that has a few changes, but it's nothing that really matters. And we can do these types of videos or these types of streams to cover updates and whatnot, because there's a lot of efficiencies, and you guys will see later, or just a little bit when we get into it, in iOS 14 from a productivity, workflow, and just usability perspective. There's a lot more changes that there are more changes in iOS 14 that I'm going to get into detail with, but just know that it's a thing, or that they are things, and there's a lot of things, because iOS 14 is a big update. So what I got going on today, and I'll switch over to it, is I'm showing you my iPhone, and I'm going to put it in do not disturb mode. And so let me switch over to this. It's kind of cool. You guys can't see it yet. Let me go ahead and start the mirroring. All right. So what you're going to be able to see here are shortcuts that I set up. So a double tap on the back, and we'll get into the specifics on how to do this in just a second. But a double tap on the back allows me to bring up control panel because it's a custom thing that I set. And so I set do not disturb so I don't get notifications that are likely to be personal. Since this is my personal device, I'll probably get like a tester device or something like that so we can do this in the future without me having to worry about stuff. But for now, we're just going to use my device. And so the list, like I said, is pretty extensive. Sorry, I got something in my eye. All right. So first off, calls no longer come in to the or no longer cover up your entire screen, and that's a good thing because it's kind of annoying if you're doing, if you're writing an email and somebody calls you and you want to finish what you're doing before you accept the phone call. Actually, I'll be right back. I gotta grab my Samsung. Okay. So I'm actually going to have to take it off of Do Not Disturb for just a second while I do this. So from my Samsung device, I'm going to call real quick because I want to show what this looks like. And you guys have mostly seen it, but there's just a couple of tricks I want to make sure that everybody's familiar with. So keep it. Oh, this is what I'm concerned about. Hang on, let me make sure I don't accidentally show something I shouldn't. Okay, cool. So it doesn't show anything. So say I'm in an app, and then we'll just pick on my Instagram, which I haven't used Instagram in a long time, but I'm going to start again, and that's due to some of the new updates in iOS 14, which I really like. Because Instagram is one of my favorite social media platforms, but since it's owned by Facebook, I don't allow permissions on my phone because I think they overextend with their permissions for what they need. But anyways, I will sort it out, and we'll get to it in a second. Alright, so anyways, so I'm in here scrolling or doing whatever you do on Instagram. And then, if the same thing goes for email, but I'm definitely not pulling up my email right now. And so I'm doing my stuff, and it used to be the entire screen would get filled up, and you'd have the two big buttons at the bottom and whatnot. And now you get this, and so you can swipe up on it, and this is what I wanted to show. You swipe up on it, and you still get this little icon in the upper left, and so I can actually click on that, and it brings up the whole page. And then I can answer from there. So if you're doing something, you can swipe up. Let me go ahead and get off this. You can swipe up and then leave the phone call until you're ready to actually answer it and finish up what you're doing. Whereas in previous versions, you could you only had everything's covered up, and you've got to either answer it right then or deny it, and then call them back or send them a message or whatever the typical options were. If you don't like this little banner ad coming down, you can actually go into the phone settings and change it by going to settings, phone, and then notifications, I believe. Actually, we can just do it. So settings, phone. Yay, that's exactly what I did want to do. And incoming calls. So we got banner and full screen. And so the full screen is what it was. iOS 14 defaults to banner, so that's something to think about. Also something to note, that you see the blue phone in the upper left. Maybe I should pull this up here. So So the blue phone in the upper left is a neat trick now. So that's the back button, and so if you press and hold on the back button, it brings up this little menu that you can select. And so in a little bit we'll go deep into a menu because we've got some accessibility stuff to look at, and this list just gets longer. So if I hit settings, it just takes me back to my normal settings. Second big change, and this is something that people have asked for a really long time, is default applications. So the standard default for iOS has been, on the browser side it was Safari, on the email side it was the Mail app, and there wasn't really anything you could do about it until now. So to do these, you just go into settings again. You find the app you want to make default. So in this case, it's Chrome, and you see where it says default browser app. You can click on that, and you can actually change it between Safari and Chrome. So by default, it's Safari, and I changed it to Chrome because I just like Chrome better. I have given Safari a fair shake. It's just not my favorite thing. However, it does have a lot of features in iOS that Chrome does not, and it looks cleaner. I'll give it that. So we're going to keep this as the default setting, and the same thing for Outlook. So I've recently switched from Mail to Outlook because the Mail in iOS, like I was talking about earlier this week, is jacked up. It's not jacked up. It's just not. It's not as efficient as Outlook because Microsoft has built in a few things like Focus Inbox that doesn't translate to the Mail app anymore. Because before the Focused Inbox was a thing, they used to have a clutter folder, and that worked because it was diverting stuff off to a folder. But when they bifurcated the inbox in Outlook, the Mail app just can't keep up. So I went past it. So same thing, you can click on Outlook, and then there at the bottom you see the default Mail app. Alright. So the third thing is picture-in-picture, which I can't really show right now because the network that I'm on blocks all of the video stuff. But suffice it to say, you can Google it and see how it works. There's just a new icon in apps like Netflix. Basically every video streaming app except YouTube has picture-in-picture, and you can one thing to note is that when you're doing, actually let me see if the images, let me switch off this real quick and see if I can pull up a video. Oh, it's just automatically sending it to the AirPlay. Well, that's not going to work. So anyways, when you're on the when you're in the app where the AirPlay button is, there's a little thing right next to it that you click, and it's just like an arrow down to one of the corners. You click that, and it makes a small screen that's in the bottom or somewhere on your screen. The only thing to know about that is that when you have a picture-in-picture, you can still use the full functionality of your phone behind it. You can move the smaller image down, but you can also swipe the small image off to the side of the screen, and it gives you a little arrow. So if you need full access to your screen, you swipe it off, and then when you're done, you tap the arrow, and it'll bring the picture back in. You can double-click the picture, and it fits it to, like, so if you've got the phone standing straight up and down like this, it'll fit the picture to the width, and if you turn it like this and double click it, it'll blow out the picture to the full size, unless I may be wrong about that, unless you've got another video. So my my non-bio brother actually watches, he sent me an image the other day of him watching a soccer game and a football game at the same time with his subscription services. So that was pretty cool. Let's see here. And so this is a part where I was going to put something in the chat. So this is a link to all the current apps that have picture-in-picture. And so feel free to click on that and investigate. Oh, I really do need to get a tester phone for this. Anywho, let's go back to the. So I went through and I took a whole bunch of notes, or I've been taking a whole bunch of notes, and then I organized them earlier today. So security, this is something that has one of the best features, for me at least, from a social media perspective, and so, or from just a general app protection. Because, like I said earlier, I don't like Facebook. I don't like how they run apps, and I definitely don't like the fact that they ask for all kinds of crazy permissions when you get it on your device. And so a few months back, well, I haven't had the Facebook app on my phone in years, and so that's not been a thing. And I just use the web browser, sign in, sign out, close tabs, and all that kind of stuff if I do use it. And then, but I did have Instagram. And my feelings towards Instagram were kind of just like, let's not look directly at it. And then they started putting "by Facebook" on it, and it was just in my face, and it was in my face, and it was just like, they've got access to every picture I've ever taken on my phone because I use Google Photos to back up. And so everything is on there. And I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So I ditched it. Not from, like, I still have the app on my phone, I just withdrew every permission. I didn't want it to have my location. I didn't want to have my access to my photos, my mic, my camera, nothing. And so I'll just get on it and I'll scroll through. Most I'll do now is like an image or something like that. But from a security perspective, we've got some changes. So let's kind of go through those. The first being approximate location. So what we're going to do on our phone, so we're going to pull up settings, and then we're going to go to privacy, which is up here at the top. And you can actually do this too. You can just type in at the top, privacy, and then location services, and then everything that uses location services is in here in this list. And there's actually a key at the bottom that tells you what these arrows mean. So gray is last 24 hours. Purple is something that's recently used your location, and hollow arrow is something that received your, or used it under certain conditions. So I've got system services, and I think that's the only filled in one. All the rest of them are hollow on mine, because I use on pretty much every app that I allow location services, I just do while using app. So because there's apps that have to have my location, like DocuSign, and so I only want DocuSign checking where I'm at when I've got the app up, because when I've got the app up is usually when I'm signing something. So anyways, we've got this stuff in here, and so let's just go to Instagram. Or not Instagram, what's something? We'll go to Pokemon Go. And you'll see here, this little, at the bottom, is precise locations. So actually I'm going to change this to while using the app, because I don't know why I have that set to always. And then I'm going to turn this precise location off. What that does is that just generally, it just gives an area instead of actually showing exactly where you're at. And so I don't know how it would work in Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go needs to know your precise location so they can tell if you're next to a Pokestop or a gym or something like that. So I'm actually curious to see if this either makes it more difficult or less difficult. But to be quite honest, I haven't played Pokemon Go in months. And that's fine. So that's a pretty cool security feature, because like it's good to not have to worry about the specificity of your location being an issue. I guess that's the best way to put it. I personally am not too worried about the location services, because if I tell something where I'm at, or if I allow something to know where I'm at, it's usually not a big deal, for me at least. But other people care, and if you care, take off the precise thing. So the next thing, in my opinion, well, let me see. Actually, I'll save this next thing for last. I'll skip one. And so we're going to go to Wi-Fi spoofing. So another thing that people worry about is connecting to wireless access points, or routers, or whatever you want to call them, and the visibility that you give to the owner of that device when you're using it. So chances of this being something that is very this isn't that big of a deal right now, in my opinion. But if you care, again, there are protections that you can do. So in here we go to Wi-Fi, and then we can go into the information, or just click on the Wi-Fi, and then you'll see this thing right here in the middle that says private address. Is that right? Yeah. So I've got private address turned on right now, which is probably why I can't do. So I just fixed one of my troubleshooting issues. So I turned this on, and then I sent my phone sent my phone's MAC address to our IT company to have it whitelisted, so I could get onto stuff, so I could show you guys the Netflix thing. Forgot to turn off private address, and so I sent him a MAC address that wasn't in fact my own MAC address. So hooray for that. Anyways, you turn that off and it'll actually show you real MAC address. I don't really you're getting into some heavy security stuff. Like if you've got somebody who's going onto a router and pulling your MAC address for something, we'll just say it's not very likely. It's not very likely, and I don't really know what all they can do with it right now, but it's a feature that's there in case you want it. The last thing is something that, like I said, is a game changer for me, because I've disallowed access to Instagram or disallowed access to my photos for Instagram, and now I get to select what applications or what photos the applications get access to. And so what I did is I created an Instagram folder, and anything I want to put on Instagram, I'm going to put in that folder, or I'm sorry, not folder, but album. And then when I go into the application, I'll show you guys. No, I can't. Alphabetical order is not, it's not good for me. So you see where it says photos, you click on that, and then used to be it was all photos, and then for the when I turned everything off, I just set it to none. But then right now I'm going to say selected folders, go to albums, and then Instagram, and then I can deselect or select these things. And so right now I've just got this one image in here for display purposes or demonstration purposes. But I'm actually going to go in and post my first Instagram photo in a long time. And so if I hit plus, Instagram would like access to your photos, and it says select more photos, but it also says keep current selection. So I'm going to do keep current selection. So it's just this one thing. It's like a nice sunset from the last little staycation type thing we did. I haven't actually posted a photo in a while, so I don't know if there's other things you can do. And then I hit next and just do the normal stuff. So I share to Facebook because I don't have a pro account. I can't remember what it's called on Instagram when you get all the analytics. And then that's it, because I don't like posting to Twitter because it looks ugly. I'm not even going to write a caption and hit share. So I've shared a photo through Instagram for the first time in months from a selected set of photos. And so now all Instagram gets to see is what I want it to see. And for me, that's a huge change. And it's something that's going to allow me, I think, to get back on Instagram and start doing stuff. And you can do that with any application that you share photos with. So WhatsApp or any kind of third-party messaging and stuff like that, you can just say, here are the photos, and that's it. I may have different strategies for organization that I use later on, but as of right now, that's kind of what I'm planning on doing. But as I get into using it, I may change my mind. And if I do, I'll update here, obviously, at some point. All right. So that's kind of the to-do with security stuff. The next kind of topic we're going to cover are the home screen advancements. So I got a list here, and this is going to seem kind of robotic. I'm just going to go through the list to make sure I don't forget stuff. So tap anywhere jiggle mode, or enters jiggle mode, and so like right then I just tapped. You can't really see. I just tapped right there and made it go away. And so I just tap and hold, and then it gets the jiggle mode, and then I touch that same spot again, and it's done. I've seen people swipe up from the bottom to get done, and then you can also just tap the done up here when you're actually done. The things to note is that touching these two little dots brings up your pages mode, and so I normally just keep pages, all my pages hidden except for the main screen. And so I've got a main screen, or I've got the widget app, or the widget page, the main screen, which I have a couple of widgets on, and then I've got the app folder, which we'll get to that in a minute. But just for demo purposes, I'm going to enable these other screens, hit done, and so I've got all these screens right here. And so you can drag your finger across the dots, and it switches the things quickly. But one of my favorite things, and this is something that would have really helped out a few years ago when we were manually setting up devices, before Apple Configurator and DEP were as robust as they are. Or I guess it's not DP, it's APN. I think it's APN. Hang on, I gotta look this up. Can't be wrong. Yeah, APN. Okay. Which is Apple push notifications. That doesn't sound right. Anyways, it is called APN. Anywho, so I need both of my hands to do this. So we've got all these apps and stuff right here, and what used to happen is you go into jiggle mode, and then if I wanted to take this Skype icon and move it over, I would just push it like that up against the side, and it would push the screen. Or I would take my finger, and I got to show this right here. I would take my finger, because multi-touch is supported, and swipe. So it gets kind of wonky. But then now, so say I've got something on the back, I can just take this other finger and swipe it across these, and while I'm holding Skype, it goes to every single screen. So I find that to be a little faster, especially if you're going from your back page to your front page. Nothing groundbreaking, but it is neat. One thing to note though while doing this is, like you see on this page, my apps are completely full except for I'm missing one in the bottom left. And now if we go back to my normal view where I don't have these two pages, it's just like, well, where the hell did it go? And so to find out where it went, we go back to the pages, we click on this one, hit done, go over here, and it pushed it to the second page. So if you're ever missing an icon on your main page after you're done fiddling with stuff and you hide pages, it's probably on one of the hidden pages. And that's just straight up help desk stuff that we will deal with on a regular basis going forward. Alright, so we're going to say done with that. Let me check, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about how this would have helped. So before Apple Configurator 2, I believe, you couldn't do custom icon setups on an iPhone when you're setting them up in like massive amounts. And we did a project where we sent out approximately 60,000 iPhones to a customer. that had specific setup instructions. I think there were 50 some odd steps for each phone, and it was all relatively manual. There were some things that we could set up on the front end with just regular Apple configurator, and these guys weren't in DEP just yet, or APN, or whatever we want to call it now. So we had to go through and manually move apps in a specific order, and some of that was taking apps over a couple of screens, because when it downloaded, it would put it at the very back, and you had to move it to the very top. And so having this would have helped out quite a lot, because if you figure that's at least 2 seconds per icon, and we'll just say we had to move 4 icons for 60,000 devices. Well, let me actually calculate that. So 4 times 2, we'll say 3. 4 times 3 times 60,000 divided by 60 divided by 60. So that's approximately 200 hours of saved time over the course of a project that size in just allowing us to move icons a little bit faster. No. That's not counting the actual time it would take right now. So we'll just take a third of that. Or we'll be conservative and say it'll cut 100 hours easy out of an entire project. And that's small steps that make big differences. All right. So that's, from a home screen perspective, that's kind of it. And then we've got the app library. So if you haven't messed with this yet, oh, hang on, let me hide this because I don't actually like this. So if you haven't messed with this much, this is your app drawer now, and so it categorizes apps by subject. I guess that's the best way to put it. So you got social, information and reading, recently added, suggestions, all that other kind of stuff. And if you click on an app, let's see, is there any apps I'm willing to click on? Yes, I will click on this game. So you can actually click on the icon for one of the big ones, and it pulls up the game. Get out of here, game. And then, like, say this in this same. Hang on a second. Can you guys not see the whole screen? You cannot. Weird. Does it change? Oh, you can't see the bottom of my screen. Well, that stinks. Let me see if it's showing on the AirPlay. Oh, that's why. It's weird. So I dragged, like, the little mirroring app that I'm using. It was half off the screen, and it was blocking the stuff, or it was blocking what was literally not on my PC screen. So anyways, let's go back over to the app drawer. So I just clicked on the Hearts app, and it opened it up. But if you see in the bottom right corner, there's a little icon that has 4 apps in it. So you click on that, and then that brings up all the apps in that drawer. And so if you only see 4 big icons, like up here at the top in the top left where the suggested, that means there's only 4 things in there. So each one of those will just open up an app. So something to note about this is as close as iOS gets to just the Android app drawer. So you can go in here and you can search, and it brings up your list. So this is literally your entire list of applications. And one thing to note is this is different from this. So So I can long press this, and it just gives me the basically the 3D touch response, and so it just says share apps. So some apps have like if you do it with Outlook, it has a list of different options. But on the app library side, I can long press on it, and it gives me the delete app or share app. And if I long press it, and move it around, like I can actually place it on a screen. And so I'm not actually going to, just going to get rid of it there. And so if you hit the minus when you're placing it, it's delete app, move to app library, cancel, and I'm just moving it to the app library because I don't want anything to do with it. So that's an important differentiator if you're trying to like move an app to your home screen or something along those lines, or specifically deleting it, because I limit the view of apps because, you know, on iPhones it used to be like every single app was accessible via your home screens, but now that you can block some home screens, some apps are just not going to be there. And let me go back to this kind of view here. So you can see the two that I don't have highlighted have apps on them. And so those apps are also accessible via the app drawer. And if I want to delete one of those apps, the app drawer is the only place I can go to delete them because I don't have them available on these other screens. Let me pause here. Nope. If there's anything, if there's any questions or anything like that that you guys have while I'm going through these things, or if you want to see something again, just let me know in chat, because I'm not really I'm not really sure how this stuff is going over, because, you know, I've never done it before. So if something is confusing, please let me know. Let's see. Organized by subjects. I think the only thing I missed is the automatic installation of apps. So something that I don't like is I don't like my apps showing up on my home screen when I add them, and so I just like it to go straight to the app drawer. And so to get it to do that, you just go to settings, and then you go up here to home screen. Actually, so let's just search here, home screen, and then it says new. You know, one of the very first things is newly downloaded apps, add to home screen, or app library only, and I just have it tab library only. I also don't like my app library to have icons, because if it's in my app library, it's not an active app that I'm using. That's personal preference. Like maybe you, or maybe everybody just gets more used to this as time goes on, but as of right now, like I'm just not into it. All right. The next thing, and I don't really have a way to sample this, are app clips. So Android's had this for a while, but it's the ability to download like only what you need in an app to get something done. The best couple of examples are if you're in a store and the store has like discount coupons in their application, you can go and download just a piece of it. But in iOS, the clips are available via a link that's provided to you, NFC, and so this is where like a store may have an NFC. I guess I've seen it more often than not up on the walls. But anyways, they'll have something you can do for NFC, or location-based Siri suggestion. You can also get clips via that. And like, so for me, I would, if I were traveling in a different city and I was trying to do public transportation, I would probably do an app clip for like a subway schedule or bus schedule or something like that. And then I know folks in the past have talked about using it as like a rewards point thing in the case that you're doing some kind of odd shopping. Because normally if you're doing reward points, you've got the app on your phone anyways. But if it's like some kind of one-off situation, this allows you now to get to something quickly, to get something done quickly. And so app clips are 10 megabytes at the largest, and so they're quick access stuff. But I don't have any idea how to get to one where I'm at right now. But if I come across one, I'll try to record it and show it in the future. Let's see here. Got some honorable mentions I'm going to save till the end. Uh-oh. Screen went off. All right, there we go. So I'm using this app, this mirroring app that lets me show my iPhone on my PC called APowerSoft, and it seems to work all right. I'm kind of leery of downloading applications on the computer, but this one seemed highly recommended by a lot of different folks on the internet. So the next topic we're going to go through with iOS 14 are the widgets. So the widget page still exists. So this is my widget page. I don't do heavy customization on my widget page. I just like some basic stuff. Like I'll use this battery widget is something I'll reference. Then my weather app is something I'll reference. And then the maps and stuff. Like I think I had put that up there for some silly reason to see how it worked live or something like that, but I just haven't removed it. So let's long press this and just remove widget because I don't actually need that. And then my shortcuts is here at the top. I actually do this mostly because this one headed home will send my wife a message and tell her exactly how long it'll be before I get to my house from wherever I'm at. So if I'm sending, if I hit that button right now, it would tell her, it would say, hey, headed home, be home in approximately, X number of minutes. And what the shortcut does, we can get into this in a whole different stream, but the shortcut will go get my location, compare that to my home location, and then then determine the time, and then paste the time into a template that I created before for like the message. And so it's really just like the message always says headed home, be there in so many minutes, and then it fills in the so many minutes every time. And that's about as close to automation as I can get for giving my wife a heads up for when I'll be back home. So that's cool. Anyway, so we've got the regular apps page or widget page still, and now we have the ability to add widgets to the home page. So if you'll see over in the upper right corner is my beautiful daughter, and this is the photos widget. And so this changes like every so often with the front picture. Sometimes it's my dumb self, because when I had a full beard, I was taking beard pics, and so every now and again I'll get a stupid picture of myself up there. She's much more pleasant to look at. So you can put them anywhere. So I can take this and I can actually just move it around however I want it. I can add multiple apps, but then something else that I can do is add. We'll just do this one because this one's the same thing. So I'll take this out and I can stack widgets. And so stacking widgets is pretty cool because if I don't want to take up too much space, I can just put a couple of widgets in the same spot, and depending on what I want to do or what I need, I can just switch between them. And so it's just a swipe up or down while you're on the app. So I'm just down, 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 up. And I forget if there's a limit to how many you can stack, but honestly for me, I wouldn't stack more than 3. Just because like the functionality you get out of them seems like it would be diminished if you're having to take time to search through them or to get to the one you need. And so if you've got 3, if you kind of memorize what order they're in, you're just one swipe away from whichever one you want. And I try to stay in an area where I do as little as possible to get to what I want. And then so I click on this, and then we'll remove stack, remove, and then I'm going to go back in and add my photos. Done. All right. And I haven't played with too many stacks. I suppose I will as time goes on, because I'm kind of waiting to see which applications that I use frequently come out with apps and how helpful they are. There are definitely third-party apps now that specifically build widgets. So like I don't really have any links, but you can get in and you can get all kinds of different customized widgets and stuff like that. So the calendar has a widget, but you can get other apps that build you calendar widgets based off of your own calendar that have all kinds of different themes and stuff like that. But I'm looking more into the to an actual apps widget, so like a YouTube widget or something like that, which I think YouTube has widgets, and maybe To-Do does now too, but during the beta there weren't that many, and I just haven't messed with it that much. So there's a markup tool in iOS, and I don't know how many people use this, but I use this on occasion. So to take a screenshot, it's power button and volume up at the same time, and so when you take it, it gives you this little thing in the bottom corner, and so you pick that up. And so the main difference is the colors. So it used to be you just had this color grid and that was it. Now you've got the spectrum, and then you can even go into the sliders, and if you've got the hex color, you can actually just put in the hex color and put in a very specific custom color. I think that might be valuable if you're working on like some sort of impromptu branded material for work or something like that. You can use your work colors if you know you hexadecimal to the logo and stuff like that. But then also there is a dropper that you can use. Let me see if I can find it. Dropper, where are you? Oh, there it is. It's top right. It was sneaky. It's been there the whole time. So if you click on this, you can actually choose anything on your screen. So like the example I saw earlier in 9 to 5 Mac was they chose the eraser here at the bottom, and it pulled up a pink. And so that was pretty neat. Let's see if I can get it to do it. No. Oh, I think they may have taken a screenshot of this. So we'll just say the green there. So dropper, green. Alright, well that doesn't seem to be working very well. Anywho, color selection is more varied than ever. And then, so something that I find to be extremely cool and useful are the back tap settings. So if you guys don't know, iOS 14 has an option now to where you can tap the back of the phone 2 or 3 times to pull up different shortcuts. And so some of the stuff is pretty basic. So I have it right now to where it double tap pulls up my control panel, because I dislike having to reach up to the right corner specifically and yanking it down every time. And if I'm in my phone, that's how I usually get to my camera. And so that's just a quick shortcut for me. So it's double tap and then one click, I'm at my camera. And it's pretty easy. So the other thing I've got is a triple tap, and that runs a shortcut for me to my capture stuff. And so if you guys remember, or if whoever's watching this in the future or whatever, in previous streams I've talked about very briefly about capture. And so for me, capture is the ability to write down anything at any time. It helps me retain information, tasks, stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about holding on to it. The worrying about holding on to something on a Saturday that you need to do Monday is just a huge pain. It causes stress. It doesn't allow you to focus or be as mindful as you would have otherwise. So you can literally dump that into your capture process and then forget about it. And so if I pull my phone out, triple tap it, it's ready to go. This is actually running off of something that I usually do by voice. So if I say, hey, SIRI, capture, then I've actually got a dude voice on mine. He'll come up and he'll say, what would you like to, what reminder would you like? And then I just talk to it. I don't have to manually enter it in. But now when I triple tap it, it's giving me this manual enter, and so I can enter in stuff. Hit done, and then select a time to be reminded, hit done. And I'll have to probably make a new shortcut to make this all voice too. But the intent would be to pull the phone out of my pocket, triple tap, instead of having to bring up Siri manually. and it would just be a faster way to get into my shortcuts, because Siri always has that delay of you saying the thing, the wake up command, and then you tell it what you want, and then especially for the shortcuts, it takes a second or two to pull it up. And sometimes when I'm doing a short or a capture or something like that, I just want to get it done as quickly as possible, so I'll have to mess with that. It's still neat though, and so I wanted to show you guys how you do this. So you go into settings, and then this is in accessibility, and it's in touch, and then all the way down at the bottom you've got this back tab. And so I turned it on by default. It's set to none. And so in the first one, I used one of the system ones, which is really cool. And then you've got accessibility stuff, which I'm not really into. But when my LASIK surgery went bad, and I couldn't see for a while, I used the mess out of the zoom function on iOS, which is a triple tap on the screen to get it to come up. That would have been good to have this. Scroll down. I guess it'd be neat if you read a lot and you've got you like the one-handed stuff. You double tap to go down, triple tap to go up, and then here at the bottom it gives you your shortcuts. And so my second one is my shortcuts. So I used capture. I've got to add grocery, which is works the same as capture, except it captures to a specific list, which is my grocery list. And then so essentially any single or two, because you've got the double and the triple tap, any shortcuts can be accessed very quickly, and that's really powerful to me. And it will be a way that it's going to be something that changes the way I use iPhones from now on, and brings them more in line with the experiences that I liked with stock Android. Because if you remember stock Android, I believe LG was the first one to do it on it was either the Nexus or it was the Pixel, maybe the Pixel 2. It was definitely not the Nexus, but it could have been the Pixel 2. But it had a squeeze function, so you squeezed it and it would do something. And I had it to where when you squeezed it, Assistant came up, and then that was back when I was using Assistant for all my capture, and so it worked out really well for me. So I assume that I can get this working just as well and have a very streamlined capture process with regards to my mobile device, which is already pretty smooth, better than it was last year, because last year Microsoft To Do didn't have shortcuts, just because it's relatively new, and they were focused more. The To Do team, which was formerly the Wunderlist team, was focused more on bringing it up to parity with Wunderlist, and so they were focused on that. But now it's past parity. To Do is way better than Wunderlist ever was, I think, in my opinion. And then now they've got this stuff like shortcuts. So last year I actually had to set my default reminders list to be one of my to-do lists, and then when I told Siri to add a task, it would add it to do as well. But then that created two separate lists that I was having to manage that didn't sync. So my reminders, if I marked something off in to-do, it wouldn't go back to reminders and mark it off consistently, and so it was causing me to have to go in and do more stuff than I needed to. And it also caused me to have duplicate entries sometimes if the information on the reminder side was different from the information on the to-do side, and so several of my repeatable tasks got repeated or got duplicated, and so it would be it was just a pain, and it's caused me to stop using it. But with the shortcuts, it works out. So that's the back tap. And then, so lastly, since we were in here pretty deep into accessibility, let me get down here. Accessibility, touch, and then back tap. So this is pretty deep. So if what I'm going to do is I'm going to press touch here in the upper left hand corner, and when it does that, these three options come down, and that's essentially like if you're looking at a file structure in Mac or Windows. It's got you're in these files. or in this chain, and that's what it is here. So I started off with settings, accessibility, and touch to get where I wanted to. So if I want to go all the way back to settings, I just go down here and select that, and that way I don't have to hit back, or swipe left, swipe left, swipe left, or I guess that's swiping right. It doesn't matter. It saves time, and that's good. And so as far as like the main features that I was excited about, that's pretty much it. There are some honorable mentions that I don't really care that much about for one reason or another. And so just to kind of go through them real quick, we've got emoji search with on the keyboard. So if you've got favorite emojis or whatnot that you like to use, you can just search them now easily instead of having to go through and manually find it. I'm not a big emoji user, so that doesn't matter to me. Apple Music got a few UI upgrades. Like there's some additional pieces to that are pretty good. And I think there's a couple more in 14.2 that are gonna help out, because you can't, like, you can scrub on the lock screen now, but when 14.2 comes out, you'll be able to scrub with a timer, so you can see exactly where you're at in the song or recording or whatever it is. But apart from a few minor UI upgrades, there's not much there. There's a silly one, and I say silly just because I don't know the practical application of this too much. But there's a mirrored selfie process, or mirrored selfies process, like exactly what you're seeing on the screen. So, like if I pull up my phone right now, let me see if I can actually do this one here. So I'm gonna back tap to pull up the control panel, hit the thing, and we'll flip this around. So Insight is backwards on here. So if I take a picture, it's going to flip it around, so Insight you can see properly. But if I do mirrored selfies, it keeps it just like this. And so it's just the difference between flipping an object and not. And so like if I took this photo, my thumb wouldn't be facing this way, it would be facing this way after I took it. But if you turn on the mirrored stuff, when you actually take the picture, like Insight would still be backwards, your thumb would still be on the same side. And so that's cool. Again, I don't really know how much it would help, but that's a thing. Styles in Notes app. So if you use Notes, which I have used Notes in the past, and I don't find it to be too great, because OneNote exists, and even though OneNote has a learning curve, I've already gone past that curve, and so I find it easier to deal with this. So we'll go into a new note, and if my screen looks different than yours, that's because I've got dark mode on everything. And so this is normally like some kind of paper color. And so like we just tap here, and so it used to be you have to click on this, and then you come in and you change whatever you want to. Now all you have to do is press and hold the A, and then it brings this up, and then so you can do whatever it is you want to do from here. And so if you do use Notes, this is helpful because you can quickly transfer something into like a list kind of focus, because that's whenever I used Google Keep or some apps like that, like lists were mostly what I was doing on it, and so this helps you just take a group of things and quickly turn them into a list. Again, not something that's going to save you tons and tons of time, but you know, minor improvement. So that's good. I'll take any improvements I can, because over a few years, these minor improvements completely change the way you use a phone. Carrier lock info. This is only really something that you need in case you're selling or buying a phone. So if you, like with regards to iPhones, since the iPhone 7, our COO is going to hate me because she probably remembers exactly which one it is. It's either the 6S or the 7. iPhones around or every iPhone was unlocked. So meaning that the carrier couldn't lock down the SIM unless you owe money on it. So if you owe money on the account, they'll lock the SIM, and then there's nothing you can really do about it. So if you're going to sell or buy one, you just go to Settings, then you go to General, About, and then Carrier lock? I probably shouldn't be showing all this stuff on the thing. Here, let's just do this. I don't know then. It's not coming up. Huh. Oh well. Never mind. Forget I said that. And the last thing you mentioned about iOS 14 is if you're a Safari user, Safari now has native translation in it. So if you go into something that doesn't have English, then you've got the ability to translate it right there in the Safari browser, which is good if you do that pretty frequently, because before you either had to have a third-party application. Not either. You had to have a third-party application or some kind of extension or plugin, which, again, I'm not really sure how that works with Safari on the iPhone because I'm not into it. So that's basically the gist of what's changed with iOS 14. It looks like there's a couple of people in here. Are there any questions before I kind of get off the whole iPhone thing? Alright, so that took about an hour to go through, which is pretty good, I guess, because that just means that there was lots of changes, and I like the lots of changes. Alright, what am I doing here? Oh yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and stop mirroring. Double tap to pull up the control panel. Stop mirroring. And then my iPhone is all done. So for the remainder of the time, I guess I can answer any questions that happens to come up, but I'm done talking about iPhones specifically. And so now it's time to get back into the wonderful task of organizing my files. So where we left off last time was going through the guy that hired me's file structure. We went through his main folder that he kind of kept most of his stuff in, where it had what was it? 7 or 8 folders that had tons of stuff in it, but then it had 140 something files just kind of jumbled in there. No order or anything, like no reasoning behind why they're in there, but they were all in there, and it took 2 hours just to get through the 140 something files. But it was very accomplishing to be able to get through that and actually review everything. So, hooray. So now we're going back in, and he's got a hiring folder, which were job descriptions from 09, 10, and 11. Oh, this is all of them. Here, I can actually show this. Let's see. So let's, I don't really know what this is going to be like, because I don't know what these documents are all about. So a quick shortcut if you're trying to open multiple documents at once is click on the first one, go down to the bottom of the list, or no, shift click. Hit shift and double click on the bottom file, and then everything in that list it opens up. And like we were talking about the other day as well, if you just hit shift and select a certain group of them on the last one, if you double click the select, it'll open up everything you've got selected. So let me order these real quick. of this. So this is the 2009 document, and so there's nothing saying that there will be changes, but we're going to try and look and see if we can find an update or any kind of updates. So pretty simple. This one's got procurement administrator, client account manager, wireless support representative. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, no 6, and 9. Same thing. Almost same thing. So they took some stuff. He's changed up some wordings, or some wording around partners, and for the most part, 1, 2, 3, 4. He added a line to this. And then, in 2011, he's got a part-time wireless support. Totally different font. Not going to judge for that though. And then on these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like he added another one of those. Other than that, they stayed kind of the same. So, not too much of an improvement, but he was updating it every year, which means he was putting thought into it. So they could have just not needed it. One thing about the naming of these things is that it's always good to start with the year first. So in a numerical, like if I were going to make something now, I'd say 2020, 9/24, and then the description of it. And that way it automatically comes up by creation date, because date modified doesn't always help sort by the actual date it was created, obviously. Obviously. So we got employees, job descriptions. So I got 09. Nope. Also, if you mess up, which I just did, Control Z, undo on computer. And it's pretty much anything you got, you can undo it. Or anything you do, you can undo it. Except for deleting something and then going into the deleted, or to the deleted files thing, or your trash can, and then getting rid of that. There's a way you can recover that stuff, I believe, for a short period of time, but it ain't Control Z. Uh-oh. 2011 job description. Alright, one less folder. Invoicing. So I just searched something in the files and it actually worked, but then my view was messed up, so I had to fix that. Got an old client here that does not exist in my file structure because it was before my time. So I'll inherit that. Whoa. What the frick is this? I just opened up. Oh, it's attorney stuff. He's just got a random folder that's got 193 items in it. Oh, this is, so we used to do, alright, so this guy, the old operations manager, used to do a manual bill optimization for a law firm. I want to say it was out of Chicago, but I could be wrong. Actually, they have it on letterhead. Negative. Anyways, he used to go through, they had a T-Mobile contract, and I think they had 400 lines, which in the work that we do, that's nothing. But the work that we do is also bill optimization, or not bill optimization, help desk. On the bill optimization side, 400 T-Mobile lines is or at least in 2009, was a huge problem because they didn't have any electronic billing methods. So he got a paper bill that was literally 2 inches thick every single month, and for an entire week he would go through that thing line by line, marking it up, seeing where things need to be changed, and then delivering a manually built report to that company. And he was doing it at way less than what we should have charged for it. Because I think when they sold it, because they sold it when I wasn't a part of this, I think it was kind of an unknown, so they did a best guess, which is sometimes what you got to do. You just got to think, like, I think it's going to do this, and then if you miss, then when the contract comes back up, you just adjust it appropriately. Anyways, though, this is an old client, so we'll just put that in old clients. Got old operations and support. He's got like 5 folders that are like end of the month reports. Mobileware. I think that was a proposal we put out to be a partner. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Dang. That's pretty straightforward stuff. Looking through some of these old things is is neat, because there were some clients that, or some partners that we had when I first started that I had nothing to do with, and they were gone shortly after, so I didn't have anything to do with them much. Some files from December 2008 on computer setup, which is completely irrelevant now. One Sheets is empty. Outdated work software. Sure. So what is a JPG1? Oh, you know what? So something that people used to do if something was outdated, like an image or whatever, and I think they still do it in some kind, SQL management. If you use text files, is that anytime you end of life something or change something out for something newer, you change the file extension to where you can't accidentally open it or use it. And so we had let me see, this file right here, or this image right here, is a JPEG, or JPG, and he had a JPG one, so you couldn't open it. So all I did was just change the extension, and it worked again. Clever way to do things. Anywho, it's old marketing. Okay. And that was his outdated work software thing. And so if it was outdated in 2009, it's kind of a big deal. Alright, so we've got present stuff, which is just antiquated now. That's for doggone sure. Ooh, that's gross. Ooh. Oh, this is kind of cool. Here, I can show this. You'll see why I'm saying it's gross in just a second. So, this was a sales presentation deck before we really got into much, and so no logo, G Squared Wireless LLC. I think the green in the outline of this is our green, but I can't tell. Terrible background. Again, like I was saying the other day, like, I'm judging these documents, but this is an extreme, the extreme future, relative to like work stuff. So 12 years ago this was created, and it's like, who are we? No images, just listing it out. Our success over 6 years, we've grown. So I guess this was made in 2011 if it's 6 years, because we started in 2005. And then this was the building where our first office was. So anybody who hasn't seen that building, this is downtown Nashville. We were on this floor right here, the second floor, which is now occupied by Google Fiber. This building is also in an extremely trendy part of town now. This is our first door graphic or whatnot. It's pretty cool. But this is an extremely trendy part of town, which is why we had to leave, because we used to be able to park up and down this street, but the restaurant here was bought, and then across the street where you can't see the restaurant, they converted old warehouse space into like clubs and restaurants and stuff, and so they call this G Street because this is McGavick Street. And then since they own a certain percentage of the road, they can block it off, and so they basically blocked it off, and this was just turned into valet stuff. You can still travel up and down the road unless they blocked it off for a block party, but there was no more parking on it. And then there was a parking lot across the street that we used to park at when it was overflow. They blocked off a huge chunk of that for valet parking too, and so we literally just couldn't park. If you didn't get there early in the morning, you would have to park like way off and walk into work and stuff like that, because this is in the Gulch, which is not technically downtown, but it's got that kind of vibe now. So that's neat. We actually shared this floor with a marketing agency, and it's an entirely concrete building inside, so no sound dampening. So you can imagine how running a call center in that environment would have gone. And then this next client, let's see. Oh, these are just survey results. Outstanding customer satisfaction. I just wanted to thank you for having such a great team. On one Friday, Richard Hervey went above and beyond, helping me activate my new BlackBerry. Oh, that's Oh, well, if it's in here, we got permission to show it before we put it up. So it's Fifth Third. They were one of our clients up until recently. And then all these types of surveys responses are fairly common. Like one of the things that I do when I have people come visit, or I'm giving a sales presentation, and we get into talking about CSAT scores. I tell whoever I'm talking to, if they seem like they want an example, just to pick a month and a year, doesn't matter, just any time in the past 10 years, I think. Because we really didn't do surveys consistently before that. And then they'll tell me, I'll pull the raw data file from the CSAT responses and then just show it to them. Now, they're not always great. There's some in there that are, like sometimes people get pissed because we're following policy. Very few, but it still happens times. We do just a poor job at something. And we're people, and we're not going to hide from the fact that we make mistakes, because we definitely do. And the difference is what we do when we make those mistakes. When we make them, we try to alleviate the possibility of that happening in the future. Like we write down a plan, make any changes to process needed, and then go from there. I mean, sometimes it's process related, and sometimes it's just agent related. And so we got to determine that. And if the agent needs more training, then we give them that, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not afraid to pull any month's CSAT scores and show them. Like sometimes I have to go through, depending on the type of opportunity it is. The only thing I have to edit beforehand is the clients, because we can't show our clients to some, or can't show some clients to potential customers, because some clients will give you permission, like these, like PPL, United Airlines, and all that kind of stuff. Like they gave us permission to use these, otherwise we wouldn't have. But other companies have corporate policies against giving quotes or sharing logos or anything like that. So sometimes when you see or when you're writing a contract, you specifically put it in there that you can use their logo, and then their legal team will yoink it out because it's just a corporate policy, which is annoying because sometimes getting logos is a good way to show that you actually have clout. Let's see, more happy customers. So Fannie Mae, still one of our customers. We've had them as a client for uh, 13 years. They're a really long-term client. And this guy used to be Maurice Green used to be our point of contact for that. He was a cool guy. But we work, we get feedback from our points of contact as well, because they're the ones who are dealing with us the most. And so a good point of contact reference is good for us, and it's good for anybody in a sales process, because it's the people who actually interact with us day to day still saying good things about us, even though we've done work with them. And in our industry, that's not extremely common. It happens. There's some really good companies out there, but there's also some other companies who are chasing the dollars at the cost of their operational capacity and quality. So I don't know what this 5-stone thing is. This must have been something they were doing. Forward-thinking company that revolutionizes crucial services. I have no idea. I guess this is some sort of certification, something or other. And then this is our services stuff. So if we're going through, like this may be the full deck, and so depending on the opportunity you get, like so maybe ahead of time that you're not going to be doing MDM administration or VIP stuff, that you can just come in here and hide the slide, and that way when you're presenting it, it doesn't show up. And this is the packaging, standard stuff. Oh, these bullet points. I don't know what in the world kind of thing this is, but whew. Hang on. This is a sample of our ticketing tool, and then another sampling of our ticketing tool. I think this is just the reporting that points of contact have access to with the access they give them. Or at least it was 10 years ago. So that's pretty cool, apart from the parts that aren't cool. So it looks like he put all this stuff together. And so all that stuff was marketing, and his folder name for that was present. He had one main folder called present, he had a subfolder called present, and then everything was in that subfolder. So he had 2 folders called present. So I dare say that was a bit much. All right. Key. There we go. I got some old pricing stuff. Definitely can't show that, but this was from 10 years ago. So let's see here. Old operations. Oh. I did a search and I was trying to put a set of files into the folder, or into its own folder. We'll say that. So G2 finance, G2 sales. There we go. Oh, it does have years. Hooray for me. This is all from 2011. So move that over. Ugh. What is this from? Yeah, see, I've got reporting in here. Like, I've got call stat reporting from our old system, which we can't re-pull, and so I'm hesitant to throw it away. So I gotta bring it over here and put it in old. We may not wind up keeping it, but from a data perspective, it's better safe than sorry. Now I've got just the spot for it. Operations, help desk. And he's got a reviews folder. Oh, this is people. So I don't have an old folder for that. I'm just keeping reviews kind of done by the year. Not that it matters. Let's see, 2010, 2010, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Place these. And then the rest of this is from 2009. I don't have a 2009 folder. Now I do. this is from 2008, which I also don't know 2008. Except for I do, just kidding. No, I don't want to open those. Get out of here. Alright. I'm messing with SonicWall. I actually can't remember. I don't think we use SonicWall anymore. I think we use Sophos. We do. We definitely do. I know that. We actually have to upgrade our firewall this year because our equipment is end of life, which I don't really know what goes into firewall creation maintenance, but I would assume there's some allowed obsolescence in there, if not planned for. Get out of here. Ooh, training documents. That's actually a thing I don't have. So, it's G2. I guess I'm going to start a training folder. And for continuity's sake, I'm going to make operations. And I'll put processes and training in that. And then in the training, I'm just going to do it by year. So start with 2009. So the ops dude that I'm going through, like, he was really the first one in the company to be like, let's document everything. And when you're dealing with business stuff, that is a key to success because it allows you to scale and improve. And I know I hammered on this before, but this is a common motif when it comes to doing work. Is like, if you're doing something new, you always document it as much as possible because it allows you to be way more efficient the second time around. You know, so if you're doing something new that you're intending to repeat, and even if you don't intend to repeat it, it's good to just have that as a habit anyways, because there have been plenty of times where I thought that I wouldn't need to repeat something, and then did in fact have to repeat something rather frequently. Like, I know when I handed off the ticketing tool responsibilities to our now COO, that was quite a messy endeavor because I did a lot of that stuff off of memory and didn't really document it that well, and it cost us a lot of time and effort in the actual transition. So instead of me being able to say, here's all the documentation, let's go through this one at a time, it was like she would run into something and then she'd have to come get me, and then we'd have to work on it together. And so we're both having to refigure something out that I could have just documented before and saved us all time. But everybody does it. You make mistakes, learn the lessons the hard way, all that kind of jazz. Tier 1, get out of here. Tier 2, this is all 2009. Let's see. Ticketing from 2009, support questionnaire. No, I don't know. Yeah, see, these are process documents. These aren't training documents. And so the difference that I'm trying to make here with process and training documents is a training document is intended to train a new agent or an agent on something new, and a process document is how the trainer actually goes about doing it. And so even though some of our training documents are processes, like the process of like call management and ticket handling and all that kind of stuff, those are still job aids. And so that's why I'm differentiating. One is for the intent of learning, and one is for the intent of improvement. Oh, I don't have 2000. Oh. So a couple of these from 2010, and then a 2011. Try again. Oh. Wouldn't let me move it because it was open. Try again. Done. Delete. Old client. Wholesale partners. See, there was a partners thing earlier. Now there's another partner thing, and then in this thing there's just a blank MSA. So the template's in there, and it's just like it doesn't have any external rhyme or reason. Like maybe he knew exactly where stuff was, but that's a quick way to lose stuff and have to spend a lot of time looking for your documents. So, G2 sales scopes. And yeah, there's another one. This is just another blank contract. Pricing, RFP requirements. That's optimistic. So an RFP, in case you guys don't know, is a request. It's a request for proposal. I think it's a request for proposal. Let me make sure I don't lie to you guys. I think it's the it's a request for proposal. Sometimes people get confused with the request for pricing. But an RFP is how like an enterprise. I mean, I guess anybody can do RFPs, but you send out basically a questionnaire and then invite companies to respond to that questionnaire, and then you go through, evaluate everybody's responses, and then down select a select few to go on to the next phase. And that's how we deal with a lot of our business. So we'll participate in a lot of RFP responses. And so this document I just came across is like requirements we need for an RFP. And that's a silly thing because there's no RFP templates that like enterprises use with regards to our industry. And so it's usually, when we're dealing with an RFP, it's extrapolating what they mean by a certain statement in the RFP and then trying to answer it as best as we possibly can. And when you're doing an RFP, there's a Q&A session or a section where you've got a certain amount of time to submit questions, and then the people who put out the RFP to begin with will put out a whole bunch of answers at once, so you can better or more refine your RFP and get your pricing as close as possible to what you're actually going to be. But to think that we could require something in an RFP is there's a lot of naivete in that. I'm just going to put this in here, not in the folder. Partner direct pricing. What year is this from? 2011. Place the file and destination. Oh, this is that thing from before. So I've already got that. Ooh, a non-disclosure from 2007. I think that's the oldest document I've got. So non-disclosure, like an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, or MDNA, which is mutual non-disclosure agreement, is essentially saying, like, I'm about to share some information with you that you can't share with other folks. And so anytime you start a partnership where you've got proprietary processes or physical equipment that you've designed, or any type of intellectual property, you want to do an NDA before you get into the details, because if you don't have that, they can just, like, say you give a PowerPoint presentation on all the stuff, then they can just take that, broadcast that to whomever they want, and then go from there. Whereas if you have an MDA, you have legal, you have the ability to legally sort this out if they were to do that and mess you up. Let's see. This will be support. No, I like accidentally opened up tons of files by double clicking too fast when I'm selecting multiple. It's annoying. Oh, wait. No. Oh, cool. Just found some cool stuff. I'll show you in just a second. Alright, so I guess this will be the last thing we do today, because I'm not getting into this folder because it's too much. Let me make this small. Should just make this big. Alright, OBS. Alright, so this is the inside of our very first office. So if you've ever been to a G2 office, we do like ourselves some color. Obviously, the stuff behind me here is a part of our office. I've said it before, but Diane's son Duncan made this for the airport here, and I guess it was in the airport for a while. It's called Clouds for obvious reasons. And then when the airport was done with it, because I guess they only keep it up for a certain amount of time, he brought it up here, put it on the wall. So technically it's for sale, but I really enjoy it. It's my favorite piece here by far. In this picture, that cityscape looking thing on the wall there, or leaning on the wall, that's also Duncan, and he's a pretty talented artist. So this was our first little break room. You can see how everything here is concrete, and there's these little up towards the lights, there's these little sound dampening tiles, or whatever you want to call it. Those are metal. They're not like the foam on the ceiling here or anything like that. So sound traveled pretty well. We had these walls behind our cubicles, but that's about it. Wow, there's a lot of shots of this break room. Oh, all that art on the wall there is Duncan as well. Those are really good pieces. We still have those around. So the dude that hired me sat in this desk right now. This orange desk. No, I lied. So this is after So my desk may actually be in here. I thought this would have been before us. This is actually where James sat. That was the view out of our window of Union Station. It was right across the railroad tracks. And that was our bread and butter when we started. And those were our old Shortel phones behind it. So those are just two curves. One's an 8830 and one looks like it's an 8850. Or 89. No, 8900 was the Bold series. Or was the Bold the 9000? Doesn't matter. These are curves. You know, I actually don't know if that one on the left is a curve. I'll assume it is for right now. Where would my desk have been during this time? So these cubicles were set up in little squares, and so everybody kind of got their own little square. And then the marketing firm was up against those windows on the back wall, except for that to the far right. There's a little door. That's where our first procurement person sat, and she started and managed the procurement department as it grew. This was our first bed station. So I used to have a scooter that I would ride from the back of the office up to this bed station. And so in the last stream I talked about some of our BES access was like RDP into a VPN, into another RDP, into another VPN. This is where all that happened. And so sometimes you'd come up here and be sitting for 15 minutes just before you get into the actual BES, because all the connections and stuff were so clunky. That's actually my desk right there. So that awesome looking CRT, you can see my my groomsman photo right below that. But the CRT there was I couldn't work without a second monitor. Because I was already used to two screens, and this was in 2009. And so I brought that up there to maximize my space, and I also maximized the internet for a while because I was streaming. And this is again in 2009, so I was streaming a kitty cam. So it was like a little window I kept up in the top right of this CRT screen of some kittens at a rescue place. And it was very calming to me in some trying times, but eventually I had to stop doing it because I was taking up too much internet bandwidth. Streaming something that was like, it wasn't even 480p, and it was still too much internet. So that was the thing. And this purple chair there was like, we started getting these super fancy chairs that like you could adjust it any way you wanted to. I think that was my first one of those types of chairs. They had a lifetime warranty until the company went out of business. Then the warranty went away too. I don't really know who was sitting there at this time. But behind this little green wall right here is where the owners sat. And so everybody was so kind of packed in together. I want to say that this was Chris's seat, but I could have been wrong. Or our old ops guy. But the owners sat right back there, and that was a cool experience for me because when I first started working here, I could just look over and ask the owners a question if I wanted to, and it was a really nice environment because this seat right here was the very first one I had, and then I moved as more people got hired. Another photo of our building. I guess this is where those images came from. So anyways, that's for me at least, that's a trip down memory lane. Just neat thing to have, just in general. Oh, let's see here. So where does this go? We got some picnic photos too, but I don't have anybody's permission to show. to show images. What year is this from? Oh yeah, this is when I was here. Let me see if there's some of me. I can definitely show those. There's Jazzmatazz. Oh, I think the only image I'm in is in the group photo. It's neat. I think everybody was here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 19. We had about 20 employees. That's cool. Yeah, unfortunately I can't show any of those though, because none of them, I don't have any permissions. Let's see if there's anything else. Nope. Alright. Well, there's no chat. There's no playbacks. Looks like there's one person in here. So person that's in here, I did all the iOS stuff at the beginning. So when I'm done with this, I'll try to reply to all of the social media stuff with a link to it, because I did pretty extensively cover like the new stuff in iOS 14. I guess I might as well finish this stuff out. I just pulled up another old call stat report. Oh, data management in 2010 for a small business. It's pretty tough. It's very manual, very time intensive. But now it's no sweat. Ooh, it's our logo, but color reversed. Alright, well that's all I got for today. I'm going to set this stuff up on the internets and then go from there. You guys have a good day. And if you're watching this on the YouTubes, which you're probably not, because I'm probably going to cut this out anyways, have a good day as well.